Um, well, obviously, yesterday was a really tough day for me personally. It was a real tough day for Coach Pittman and his wife, Jamie. But I think we all watched the same thing here at Razorback Stadium on Saturday in front of an incredible crowd, incredible atmosphere before a national television audience against the first time playing Notre Dame. And our performance was just unacceptable. It wasn't a Razorback football performance that any of us were proud of, and that ultimately falls at the feet of the head coach. And I'd often, through his tenure here, given Coach Pittman a lot of credit for how competitive we had been in the past 6 years. And he had gotten a lot of credit for those one-score losses, but at some point in time as a director of athletics, I had to hold him accountable for those one-score losses as well. So the culmination of what happened on Saturday and then a couple more one-score losses, one at Memphis and one at Ole Miss, just felt like it was time to make a change in the leadership of our football program. I met with Chancellor Robinson and President Silveria after the game on Saturday, woke up Sunday morning with a great sense of peace that this was the right decision at the right time, heading into a bye week, made that recommendation to Chancellor Robinson. It was approved by the board. I went to visit with Sam and Jamie at their house, ironically at their kitchen table, which is the same place that I hired them at in Athens, Georgia 6 years ago. As you can imagine, Sam was incredibly gracious, incredibly thankful for the opportunity that he had to be the head coach at the University of Arkansas, and made a really tough day as well as it could for me as a director of athletics. I then met with Coach Petrino at my house, asked him if he would be willing to serve for the remainder of the season as our interim head football coach, and he accepted that opportunity. And with that, we will open it up for any questions for Coach or myself.
Go ahead, Trey. I'm wondering, Hunter, on the decision to fire Sam, did the timing of things that have come with the portal being moved to January, does that make it an easier decision on when to change coaches and stuff versus maybe in the past when Sam hasn't had success and December portal opens?
I mean, the portal is a key factor in this, but I think more than anything, it was just heading into a bye week to have a transition with the head coach, having a bye week before we head to Tennessee. This was kind of a natural point to make that. We've got another bye week coming up later in the season, but I just felt like how we performed on Saturday gave me a little indication that maybe Sam had lost the team a little bit because they generally had played really hard for him throughout his tenure.
Coach Petrino, I'm sure you didn't come to paint. You look like you've made a lot of decisions early on with changing up the staff. Can you talk about what went into those decisions and then also the opportunity in front of you, because I'm sure you would consider this as an audition?
Yeah, first let me say how thankful I am to Coach Pittman for bringing me here and giving me this opportunity to come back to a place that I love. Very grateful for Hunter and Chancellor Robinson and the Board of Trustees for allowing me to come back a year ago and be an assistant coach here and then being able to do this. Whenever you make a decision, you base it off of, number one, what's best for the team. Number two, what's best for the individual players. And I felt that, it was in our best interest to do what we did this morning for our players to improve individually, get a little bit more motivated, and I think it'll help our team overall get out on the field and compete and find ways to win a game.
Hunter, I'm curious, is Sam's buyout, is it exactly how it's laid out in his contract, or did y'all negotiate that at all?
Yeah, we negotiated in the middle of, right now he's at 75%. If we'd waited till October and if the season continued the direction it was, he would have fallen below 500. So part of our meeting was getting his representatives on the phone, and we landed at a sweet spot for both of us. I thought that 62.5%. It saved the university about $1.5 million and kind of fell between that 50 and 70% mark, 75% mark.
And then moving forward, when you're looking for the next head coach, are you confident that there are resources in place. You're going to be able to attract, quality candidates, especially given your recent comments?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of our board meeting last Friday, I received kind of a charge from our board to come back to Chancellor Robinson and them with a plan of how we can increase the head coaches pool, the assistant coaches pool, the support staff pool, the operational pool moving forward, and how we would support the increases in that. And I'll have an opportunity to do that in the next couple of weeks, and I truly believe that we will have everything that we need in place to attract the best head coach for our program and give that head coach the resources they need to be competitive in the SEC.
Coach, what might you be able to do to help improve defensive play moving forward? And are there any other changes imminent to, fill the spots that are lost?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we have to do is get back to the principles of good defense, which is get into a great stance, get into a great alignment, run full speed to the football, shed blocks, and tackle well. To stop people on offense, you have to stop the run first, and we haven't been able to stop the run first. Some of it's been our fits by our linebackers. Some of it's been errors. So we're looking right now at really finding out what our base defense is going to be from here on, and then build the package out of that and simplify a little bit. If we simplify and play faster and full speed, then we'll have a better opportunity to stop people.
It's been a whirlwind the last couple of days, but I wonder if you've met with the team, and if you haven't, like what your message might be. And then, Hunter, will you meet with the team as well?
Yeah, the plan was to meet with the team this afternoon at 2:30. I've seen a lot of the players individually around the complex this morning, but team meeting's at 2:30.
What might be your message at that point?
Well, we got a number of things to talk about, but number one thing is that you have to get used to change. Your whole life there's going to be change. So how we handle that, our attitude on how we handle that, our positiveness on how we handle that, will determine how quickly we improve. We're going to improve. That'll determine how quickly we improve.
And Hunter, will you have an address there too? And so many of the players on defense loved Travis Williams. Just maybe what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, I will be a part of that meeting, kick off that meeting, and talk about some of my reasons behind making that change. And I like Coach, we still have 7 games left in this season. I think we still have a really good football team in that locker room and have the opportunity to win moving forward. And there is going to be a change and a lot of change and adaptability by these guys. And I think that's why the bye week is really key for that. And that will be similar to what Coach is saying about change. Change is a part of life. And how you respond to change will really tell you a lot about your life moving forward. And so I think we've got some really good kids in that locker room that will respond well to this change. It's not going to be easy for them, but that will be my message to them.
Hunter, obviously you were the one that hired Coach Pittman. I'm wondering, as you kind of enter a second coaching search, whether it be Coach Petrino or somebody else, what maybe did you learn from 6 years ago that you can take into this year?
You learn something from every coaching search. They all take on a life of their own. We've got a little bit longer runway on this coaching search and have a chance to get out ahead of that a little bit. Coach Petrino, as we met yesterday, he accepted this opportunity with the understanding that he also wanted an opportunity to formally be a candidate for our head coaching position, and he will have that opportunity. But we'll also subsequently run a search for our next head coach at that same time. And I've got a little bit longer runway to do that and to do my due diligence and do some really good research. And we'll find a good candidate, whether that's Coach Petrino or someone else.
And then Coach Petrino, obviously Coach Smith will take the title of OC, even though you'll keep the duties. Just maybe, does his role maybe formally change at all, or what kind of do you see on that side of the ball and some of the changes there?
Yeah, his role will change a little bit. There won't be a time where I'll have to step out of the room more. I won't be in there at some parts of the game planning. Colby's a guy that played for me many, many moons ago and played professionally for the Chiefs, did an unbelievable job. He's been handling a lot of things anyway. Like when I decided to make the decision to go up in the box, and he's handling the pregame information with the players and some of the things at halftime after I have to leave. I think he'll do an excellent job. I'm still going to call the plays, and something I love to do. And I'll be in the meeting room as much as possible, certainly game planning and working on, third downs and situations. But I feel really comfortable when I step out of the room that they won't miss a beat. He'll just continue the meeting. That's one of the most important things is when you're the head coach and you step out of the room is that they don't just sit around and drink water, that you have a leader in there that'll take charge and continue as if you were still sitting in the room.
$100 million in buyouts to be paid out. You've talked a lot about financial in this revenue share era. What is the financial plan moving forward?
For the buyouts, we'll pay those out over the next 3 years, most likely from reserves in the Razorback Foundation, but we have the resources to pay those buyouts. We don't have any lump sum payments other than Coach Pittman's retention bonus. Everything else will be paid out over the next 3 years for him, and the assistant coaches all have roughly a year and a half. But the assistant coaches all have a duty to mitigate within their contracts as well that will help bring the value of those buyouts down.
And Bobby, some defensive players took to social media with a thumbs down after this morning's dismissals. What's going to be your message to them?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what I said. We all got to learn that there's change and there's things that happened. I think in football, you have to always talk about courage and being courageous, and I think that's part of what we have to do now as a team is understand that we all have to take the arrow in the forehead. We didn't win Saturday. We didn't perform like we needed to offensively. We didn't do it defensively. We didn't come up with any big plays on special teams. So it's all of us, and we just got to get together and become one. That's, I think, one of the issues we've had is the separation in offense and defense. We need to be able to come together as one unit.
Hunter, how important is it to you and other decision makers, if at all, that a candidate has ties to either the program or the state?
I think that's icing on the cake if you can make that happen. I don't think you can go in that with being one of your guiding principles in your search. I think that's something that if someone has ties to the state, that is awesome and a bonus, but I don't think you can go into the search with that being one of your guiding principles.
And then, Bobby, are you considering any other staff moves, whether it be dismissals or just promotions internally?
We think that there's a possibility that we might need to add somebody to the staff for one of the positions. We're looking into that and certainly going to move as quick as we possibly can, but want to make sure it's the right person.
Bobby, for you, nationally, this job may not be viewed as something that's premier, but you lived it at its highest level. How special is this place whenever it's right?
It's a special place. I mean, that's why I'm so fortunate that I was able to come back here, and I think that we've got to get it back to that special place where everybody in the state is behind the Hogs and everybody is proud of the Hogs, and that's our job. We got to go out on the field and give the energy and the competitive spirit and show the heart that we have in playing the game of football so everybody can be proud of us, and that's what we've got to try to do here the next 9 weeks is make sure that we can unify the state.
Hunter, is a bit of a follow-up to what Matt was asking there. This is naturally a very, very expensive process. As best as you can explain, will money in any way be a factor?
Absolutely, money will be a factor at some point in time because there's limited resources. But I think we saw with the hiring of Coach Calipari and what we were able to do there with him and his staff and what that's meant to our basketball program. I think we can build a similar model within reason for our football program. I think there'll be people across this state that will step up for us. I think there's an opportunity for the university to potentially help us, and we're continuing to look at new ways to generate revenue within our athletic program. Our football program is far too important to the overall health of our athletic program for us to take it for granted.
Hunter, last Friday at the Board of Trustees meeting, you tried to clarify what you had talked about at the Touchdown Club, but do you worry at all that the negative publicity that was generated by that might hurt you at all in your search?
I think when we're able to put in front of prospective coaches what the financial package for our program will be moving forward, I think that will alleviate any of their concerns about that.
And I mean, as you well know, AD jobs oftentimes are tied to the success of a football program. Do you think you're going to be able to lead this search?
I have not received any other indication to the contrary.
One more for you. You've talked about finances and being able to compete at a championship level, like you said. Do you feel like Sam had the financial commitment to be able to win at the level you wanted him to?
You were at the board meeting, and I gave you some statistics where our head coach compensation, our assistant coach salary pool, our support staff salary pool, and our overall operating budget ranked towards the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. I think with that information, Coach Pittman did not have the resources he needed to appropriately compete in this conference right now.
Hunter, I know there's been several jobs that have opened across the country. Several of them have started developing plans to kind of improve their financial situation. Virginia Tech is presenting here, I think, in a day to bring their budget up by an average of $50 million. How aggressive will you be in trying to improve the financial stability of the department, but also the NIL situation, so when you do go out there and you're presenting your future to a coach, that they feel confident that they're going to be able to be competitive against the other SEC players?
Yeah, so I think I think there's some misinformation out there about how competitive we are going to be moving forward in the NIL space. We've had over $500,000 of agreements that have gone through the NIL Go system by way of our student athletes. It's roughly $15,000 per agreement. The national average is about $5,800. We have an NIL strategist within our front office. Our team at Learfield is actively soliciting opportunities for our student athletes to have NIL agreements. We're at the full level, the cap from a revenue sharing standpoint. So whoever the next football coach is going to have the resources from a revenue sharing percentage and NIL to compete within this conference.
Bobby, you guys are going to have the full team meeting later, but you said that you've seen some of the guys individually around the facilities. Just what have their reactions been to all of the news so far, and just what have you said to those guys?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously mixed reactions. We got some people that are excited and energized, and we've got some people that are hurt a little bit right now. Their feelings are down, and that's natural. That's how it goes. And I don't want to minimize their feelings and how they are, but at some point we've got to step together and move forward. And the quicker we do that, the better that we're going to be.
And then Hunter, what are maybe some of the qualities you're looking for in the next head coach, be that Coach Petrino or an outside hire? Just what are, I guess, some of the characteristics you're looking for in the next coach?
I think you have to have someone first and foremost that's a proven winner and proven that they can build a program. Someone that can come in and establish what your culture is going to be as a football program on both sides of the ball, in special teams. You want somebody that can that has some energy and can re-energize this program and re-energize our fan base, ties to what it means to compete within the Southeastern Conference, I think is really key. But I think, probably the keyest thing is they've got to be able to embrace and adapt to what is a changing environment in college athletics, and to be able to have some advanced scouting that's really in depth, and you can go head first into the transfer portal, and that's the way you're going to build a program quickly. And the days of bringing in 25 or 30 freshmen and thinking that you can turn a program with freshmen, they're going to go by the wayside, especially in football. And you've got to be able to really use that transfer portal, and that takes some in-depth, advanced scouting across Division II, FCS, G6, and even Power 4, so that when that transfer portal opens up, you're ready to hit the ground running, and we're going to provide that staff with the resources they need to do so.
Coach Petrino, you spoke about change and talking with your players about change coming up this afternoon, and whether that is something they buy into or not is something that they have to decide. What is the best case scenario for this team going through this change right now in your eyes?
Well, the best case scenario is we come out tomorrow and we work hard, and we practice hard, and we get well prepared in how we're going to change the defensive structure and how we're going to go about running to the football and tackling well. We've got to go back to some individual drills, tackle circuits, pursuit circuits, and turnover circuits, and do the little things that make the difference in the game. So I'm excited about the way our staff has been handling it and the plan that we have going forward defensively. Offensively, we've got to get back where we get the ball across the 50-yard line and we go score touchdowns like we were early in the season. And that hurt us the last 3 halves, that we weren't able to convert touchdowns when we crossed the 50-yard line. So we're going to continue to work hard on that. And then we got to come up with a way where we can make difference-making plays in special teams. Right now in special teams, we haven't had a big return, block punt, forced fumble that turns into points. So to score a lot of points, you have to score in all 3 areas.
And then for you, Hunter, just curious as coach about the schematics of the team. What do you want to see out of what would you ideally see out of the fans here in the last 4? You still have 4 home games left. Obviously a tough one over the weekend, but with Coach Petrino, you talk about energy, excitement. What do you expect the fans will show back to you?
Well, I mean, we have one of the most passionate fan bases in all of college athletics, as demonstrated by what we saw Saturday at 11 a.m. as they showed up. And you see that across all of our sports. And so I hope our fans will come out and give these kids 100% support. And I hope in return, the kids that you see on the field will give 100% maximum effort and show that energy. And I think this is a state that, boy, if they see that team playing really hard and carrying some of the characteristics that Coach is talking about, they'll get behind him, win, lose, or draw. But they want to see that effort. I know our fans want to see that effort on the field. And I think that was something that was really glaring Saturday, that there was not a great deal of effort. And I think you'll see that change as we move forward.
Coach, in the past when you've talked to us, you've talked about how much you've enjoyed being back in the classroom with the quarterbacks and doing all the offensive stuff. What makes you want to take on more than that now? What makes you interested in the head coaching job again?
Well, I love the game of football, and I love the University of Arkansas and the Razorbacks and being back in the state. And I was asked if I would want to come back and serve as the interim head coach, and I felt, like it was my duty to do that. And I'm going to give everything I possibly can do. We've got a lot of areas that we need to improve on, but there's a lot of fun work ahead of us, and we're going to attack it with a positive attitude. Make it fun. We've got to make our players enjoy being in the building. We've got to make them enjoy going out on the practice field. Our coaches have to understand that we've got 9 weeks ahead of us, and how we handle those 9 weeks and how we improve and show the quality of the play on the field help determine all of our coaches' futures. So that's how we're approaching it.
Hunter's also said, though, you are interested in the full-time job beyond just the interim role. Are you confident in your ability to navigate all the things Hunter just laid out with NIL, transfer portal, all that kind of stuff?
I am, but my focus right now is 9 weeks. That's where I want to put my whole area into. Is we've got a team sitting there, players that need to be uplifted, and it's our job as a staff to go in there and show them how we can be successful and have fun with it, but also get out on the field and compete like Razorbacks compete.
And then for either of you, with the coaching change, there's a 30-day window for the portal. Have any players indicated that they're intend to enter, or do you anticipate that happening?
We have not had anybody that has entered yet. I think they need to just understand what it is all about. A time to enter right now is really does nobody any good. It's not where they can transfer and go play and do that. I think all the players need to understand, like the coaches, they've got 9 weeks to really brand themselves and show their quality of play on the field. Some guys will be going into the NFL, and these 9 weeks will determine how they do that, where they go in, how they're slotted. Some guys will transfer in the portal, and these 9 weeks will see how they get paid going into the portal. And then some guys will stay here, and their futures will get better and better because of how they handled these 9 weeks.
Hunter, Bobby just said he's focused on these 9 weeks, but obviously in the release you guys had yesterday, he's going to be a candidate. What do you want to see from him over the next 9 weeks that can maybe elevate himself as a candidate for the full-time role at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think just demonstrating just great leadership of this program. And, I mean, we're in a tough spot today. Like, this first meeting is going to be really tough because there's a lot of guys in that room that are going to be disappointed with the change of Coach Pittman and the change on the defensive side of the ball. And so I just want to see dramatic improvement just in the effort of our team on both sides of the ball and how they execute. It's not about necessarily wins and losses at this point. It's not fair to evaluate him on that moving forward. Does that make sense? And I told him, like, I don't expect him to come in with some magic pixie dust and we're going to go 7-0 the rest of the way with the schedule that we have. But I want to see a team that is much more competitive than we were, especially on Saturday. I want to see that team Ole Miss is ranked 4th in the country this week. We're 3 weeks removed from having the ball on the 25-yard line with 2 minutes to go. They most likely were not going to stop us if we don't fumble that ball. Our season could look totally different if we push that ball in at that game. And so we got a good team in that locker room. We got to find that good team again and get them back out on the field when we head to Knoxville in 2 weeks.
You kind of touched on my next question. It seems like this kind of accelerated. Is that fair to say that, given where you guys were against Ole Miss, that maybe these 2 losses against Memphis and Notre Dame have just kind of really accelerated this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did not see the performance that I saw Saturday coming, quite honestly. I thought we'd be really competitive in that game and that we'd come out with a lot of energy and a lot of passion and a lot of fight. And I don't think any of us saw that on that field on any aspect of the game.
Hunter, is there any thought to making an in-season change that it gets you maybe ahead of the curve in terms of being able to talk to potential candidates?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you obviously get ahead of anybody that's going to make a change anytime later than you make a change. It's really sensitive because you're most likely going to be talking to coaches that have positions at other institutions, and some are going to want to talk to you or some are not going to want to talk to you during their season. And I have respect for both of that. And so you don't want to lose a candidate because they want to wait till the end of the season to have any dialogue, but you can definitely start vetting some people in advance of others.
And Sam had a provision in his contract that said that he wouldn't have to mitigate after he turned 65 next year. Is that, as part of this restructure, does he have to go and try to find another job?
He does not. As part of our settlement and him coming down to the 62.5%, we removed that duty to mitigate, so he does not have that clause in his contract any longer.
Bobby, considering the fact that kids are going to be jumping in the portal or can jump in the portal, you've got coaches that are going to be looking for new jobs, or at least they're going to be putting out feelers. How hard will it be to get the staff and the players to just focus over these next few weeks and concentrate on games versus their future?
Well, that's the challenge, and like I said, that's what when I met with the coaches this morning, that's what I told them is how we handle the next 9 weeks is going to get you a job if you have to go find a job. And if you're sitting here and working hard on football and getting your players better and getting our schemes better, then your ability to get a job when this is over with, when the 9 weeks is over with, are greatly enhanced. If you're sitting here on your phone thinking about that job from 9 weeks from now, it totally hurts them. So I think we had a good discussion about it, and the feelings are good. But we got to go do it. We got to go focus and do it. And I like the leadership that we have on offense and defense and special teams. So I think we're all on the same page right now.
And for either one of y'all, Hunter, when you were talking about the advanced scouting that's going on right now, will the next coach bring in his own advanced scouting team, or is this something that you and Remy are kind of working on now? And would they possibly have a say in who the next coach could be?
I think it's really determined on the next coach, but I think it's really imperative moving forward that we have an advanced scouting department that's separate from your recruiting department, that's evaluating film across this country at all levels, and whether that falls within our front office or that falls within the football office, and there's some collaboration between the two. I think that is a must-have moving forward, and that's something that we will build into our financial model.
Coach, last year you're on the sideline, up in the box to start the year. Now you're heading back down to the sideline. Is that going to give you any advantages offensively with changing things or just making it in general? How is that going to help you coach your offense?
Well, I've called a lot of games from on the sideline, and I missed being down there a little bit. I didn't know if it was the right decision to go up or go down, but I felt like going up in the box, I'd be able to focus and concentrate more on ahead, the next series, and looking ahead to what the next calls are. But I am used to being down on the field, and I missed being down there and seeing the players' eyes and seeing the intensity, maybe being able to change some of the intensity. So it'll be fun to be down on the sideline again.
Yeah, and then we talked about how some of the defensive players were posting on social media about their disappointment in letting T-Will go. How do you kind of expect them to rally around Chris Wilson over these next few weeks?
Yeah, I think we'll be able to get that done. I think initially there's feelings and emotions and reactions, which always happens in life. That's part of life. And then you got to settle down and say, okay, what's the best avenue for me going forward? And that's to have a positive attitude, get better, improve yourself this week, improve in the weight room this week, improve on the practice field this week. We've got to do a great job, too, understanding that nobody in the room today, when we're in the team meeting room, lets their grades go down because of a situation like this. So our ability to have self-control and understand what my goals are, they're still sitting right out there for everybody, so we got to go grab them.
Bobby, you talked about possibly adding someone to the staff. Have you had any conversations so far with anybody about that? What do you want to have somebody come in and help you guys out? I know you said you want the right person. Is there a timeline on that?
Not necessarily a timeline. I think the thing is the fit, and what we're going to do position-wise, it'd either be somebody on the defensive line or linebacker spot that would be a great fit for us. And certainly I'll have a lot to do with that, but Chris will have something to do with it too. He needs to feel comfortable and have somebody that he feels will help him in the way he wants to coordinate it.
And Chris is specific. What's your relationship with Chris? I know he's had coordinator experience in the league, and just what's your experience with him, and what will his responsibilities be?
Yeah, my experience goes way back to having to battle against him when he had all the great defensive linemen at Mississippi State, the Fletcher Cox, and all those guys that we had to try to not sack our quarterback. So that's when I first started to know who he was and know about him. Very, very impressed with what he's done throughout his career. Guy's got a Super Bowl ring. He brings a lot of credibility into the room. I've been enjoyed watching him on the field in the camp and throughout the practices that we have. He's very intense, and he understands what you need to do to stop people. We'll be more disciplined, I think, and our guys will run full speed to the ball.
Somebody essentially fill your spot on, another permanent staff member on offense too?
No, I still got, quarterback responsibilities I'll have, but I'm fortunate enough I have a young man that's been with me now for, I think, 4 years, working with me with the quarterbacks, and sometimes, if I got to go to another room, he'll continue the meeting, does a great job, Miles Fishback, and we've been together for a long time now, and he knows how I think and how we want things done, and certainly the players in the room, the quarterbacks in the room, have a lot of confidence in him.
Hunter, will you go solo on the search for a period, or will you immediately get a committee or hire a firm, or what do you think?
Well, the only thing I know I'm going to do for sure is I'm soliciting from search firms to assist with that, with the long runway and the confidentiality that coaches will have. I mean, working through a search firm for that just makes a lot more sense than trying to do that on your own. And so we'll use a search firm, and then Chancellor Robinson and I will visit at some point in time in the very near future about what the committee looks like. I think for confidentiality, it's always a lot better to keep it tighter. And that's the way I've usually done searches and would prefer to do searches, but Chancellor Robinson and I will visit further about what that looks like moving forward.
Your message basically to fans, like, where are you headed with football?
We will get our football program back to a place that everyone across this state will be proud to say that they're an Arkansas Razorback.